Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is the Daily Dose, episode number 3, a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Check it out at referralspodcast.com later on. Thank you so much for joining us. And every day we get on somewhere between 12:55 and 1:07 p.m. Normally it starts at 1 o'clock, but with technology and everything else that's going on, we're going to be on somewhere around that time frame. And I appreciate all of you. The last couple of days have been fantastic. I know many of you have identified your top 25 people who energize you, who are positive and optimistic, people that you need to have at the top of your tribe. And then yesterday we had Nikki Klein talk about creating and leading a Facebook group, which maybe that content has never been more valuable than now. The best time to create a Facebook group would have been 10 years ago. The second best time is today or yesterday. And many of you have got accountability partners. If you don't have an accountability partner or you're new, welcome to the Daily Dose. Welcome to the Generosity Generation. Get an accountability partner just by posting below. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Adam Hergenrother, who is a leader of leaders. This guy is one of the top entrepreneurs and owns a real estate company. This guy is, I've known him for quite some time now. And I've been blessed to be able to call him a friend. Without further ado, Adam Hergenrother, welcome to the Daily Dose.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to thank you, too, for all that you're doing. And all the time and energy that goes into even doing this once a day for 30 minutes is a lot more than people realize. So thanks for all putting out the positive energy and keeping people focused. I mean, I think one of the things that being a coach is right now, which everybody is a coach, is to make sure you're keeping people focused and leaning into what is most important that they need to lean into. And you just continue to spread that message. So thanks. You know, I was also just thinking about this while we were waiting a second ago. I think the last time you and I, not saw it.
Where is this going?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
PG-13, though. But I was reminded in 2010, you and I did a live event together, or in Maine. Do you remember that? Like I was just, that's when I had this. I remember I see myself looking in the mirror, and now I'm like, I have this white suit on at the time. Now I'm in like a hoodie and a vest, and it's just and you look a lot better than you grew, obviously with looks and age, which is awesome.
I don't know. You know, I always say there's no such thing as success or failure, only growth. And I have to tell you, I think one of the things I've seen grow in the last 10 days is my waistline. It's just like we bought all these supplies, for 60 days. I decided to eat them in 6 days, So it's like, I don't know if it's stress eating or if it's lack of discipline maybe, or whatever it may be. But I'm glad to be back on it today. I'm back on, I'm a keto friendly guy, right? And it's good to be back on that and kicking butt. But I'll tell you.
But on that, though, I think it's actually important to mention that I've been bringing that up to all of our people and all of our companies, that the first thing that starts to go is your eating. Like, it's just like, it's like a novelty. It's like a snow day. And then you start eating a little bit more. Next thing you know, you're sleeping in a little bit longer. Then the problem with that, though, Michael, is it's like a small stone, right? 2 weeks later, it's not 5 minutes and eating one meal bad. It's all of your meals bad, and you're 2 hours behind schedule. The next thing you know, you're just caught up into the drama instead of actually focused on reality.
That's exactly right. That's such a great point is, how is everybody eating and sleeping? In the comments below, do me a favor and just rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 is where Michael Maher is. I'm just kidding. A 1 is, you're sleeping in and you're not eating well. And a 10 is you're eating better based on the fact that you now have your own self-directed structure. I mean, you're not traveling. We can't use that as an excuse anymore. It must be hard when you travel to eat right. It's like, well, you don't have that anymore. So what's your new story? So below, tell me what your rating is. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as eating and sleeping? And maybe I could have done those as two different polls, but you know what? I think they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And Adam, I have to tell you, we have decided to bring back a class that we did 5 years ago and then 3 years ago. It's called 30 Mornings. And we're going to do the morning ritual with people for 30 straight days.
Yeah.
We're literally going to lead them through savers with an extra A. And we're going to get people back on them. And we're going to start at 7:30. Last time we started a lot earlier. So we're going to start at a reasonable time. By the time they're done with us, they'll be getting up about 6:30, which I believe is very reasonable. We're not talking about the 5 a.m. club or the 4:44 club. We're talking about getting up at 6:30 before everybody else. And if people are interested in that, just below, just say 30 mornings, and that'll give us a gauge on how many of you are interested in doing this morning ritual program called 30 Mornings. And can you change your life in 30 mornings? The answer is yes, you can. And hopefully we can help you do that. So Adam, go ahead.
I was going to say, self-leadership, or any leadership is, in order to have any leadership, you need self-leadership.
Yeah.
And so for me, the morning routine has been absolutely pivotal in my life. Starting literally in around 2010, 2011, I started making small incremental changes into what it is today, which is pretty robust, but it's all of those little things, because you continue to grow. As you start to add little elements on there, you realize the benefits are much longer than the amount of time that it takes to actually do it. So then you go, if I can spend 5 minutes but get a benefit for hours, then what if I spend 2 hours doing this? Do I get the benefit for the whole day? And so the cost benefit analysis of doing it versus it goes in the other end too, though. If you sleep in for an hour, you could lose the day, right? So it doesn't just work one way or another. That can swing in both directions. So I'm so glad that you're doing that. And really, I would encourage anybody who's maybe a little out of their routine right now or just needs to seek it back up to definitely join that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And it's one of those where, so let's talk about leadership a little bit, and I really want to talk about not as much self-leadership, because we're going to incorporate that because there's a big part of that. But self-leadership is probably one of the toughest leaderships, because we have a crazy person for an accountability partner. You know what I mean? So, self-leadership it's about discipline or desire, and the thing is a lot of times we aren't necessarily super disciplined. We kind of are reactive, or people can be reactive. We have to be as proactive. And then the other side is desire. When you really want to do something, it's amazing how motivated you are to get it. And right now, people lack discipline and they lack desire. Their desire is to survive. Well, survival's not a big motivator, until it's the worst case scenario, right? Yeah. But so any kind of comments on that before we jump into the tough decisions that great leaders have to make?
Well, I think in general, leaders themselves always have to be thinking beyond where the current status of their staff, employees, or clients are. Mm-hmm. And so when you are a leader, essentially what you're doing is you're a thought leader first. So that you are constantly evaluating where people need to go. You can call it vision, you can call it thought leader, whatever that word is. Sometimes people get lost in the word vision and kind of bring that back down to what makes sense for people. Right. Yeah. And all that really is saying, I'm thinking ahead of where people need to be in shortened periods. Right now, I'm thinking ahead 3 days or 2 days, or even at the end of the day while everyone else is stuck in kind of rewind mode, trying to figure out what even to do. You're saying this is exactly what you do. And you're want to position yourself as a leader, as somebody who's creating the vortex so that everyone can come in there and then expand from what you brought them through to take them to that next level. Whatever next level means to you, that's for you to define and decide. But that's ultimately a leader's job, you call it creating the path. All you're creating the path for is to allow that level of thinking to expand within a human being so that their consciousness, which is just a sexy word for saying what I know, is expanded. And as that expands, you don't really go backwards. You always, you may slip backwards, but you know how to get right back there because you've now created this vortex that allows you to get there faster.
And you're talking with the vortex, you're talking a gap.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you're talking a gap, and that's the next level, right? Everybody talks about how do I get the next level? Well, first you got to create the gap. What is that next level, right? And so how do you stay centered as a leader so that you can make decisions and lead others from a place of clarity? I did success last Thursday, CR 101, crisis response, and I gave an acronym for success. Like, these are the ingredients that we have to have in place to succeed in the next 30 to 60 days. And one of those that I made a big point, the first C of success, is clarity, right? So how do you stay centered? I mean, things are chaotic, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are if you allow them to be. The reality is that, explain it this way. Most people, there's the reality and then there's drama. And most of what they're doing is they're bringing drama, and they're bringing drama into the reality instead of seeing reality into the situation that is in front of us. To put it this way, it doesn't really matter whether you like it or don't like what's happening. And the minute you start creating a preference of whether or not you like the reality or don't like the reality, the only thing that does is then trigger the mind to say, I don't like this. So now I'm going to go figure out and cause all these other additional thoughts about why I don't like this and why it should be somewhere else and somewhere different. Instead of actually understanding and going, to me, it doesn't really matter whether I like it or don't like it. If the event has already unfolded and it's sitting in front of me, now my job as a leader is to center myself and saying, it's here. It doesn't matter if I like it or not. Now I have to have it come from a place of clarity. But if you're caught up in the mind where the mind is literally taking you, and think about this from even like a self-indexed perspective, you say, I don't like this situation. Well, it doesn't really matter whether or not you like it or not, right? I mean, that's just saying, why do I not like this? So then you come back and say, well, I need to center myself first. So a technique that I teach to all of our, 400 plus employees in our organizations is, it's called 3-2-1 relax. And it's a very simple technique. And what it does is the minute your mind starts going out of control, right? Meaning that's what mindfulness and wake up, all that conversation is about, is that your mind starts to take you off the path of clarity. And when that happens, you bring you back and say 3-2-1 relax and drop your shoulders and literally just breathe out as you do it. And what it'll do is it'll bring you back into the present moment, which brings you clarity into what the next action step is. And the thing is, when you're operating from the lowest part of you, you're still going to take action, and you're still going to take action when you have clarity. It doesn't mean you just lie back and say, hey, a tiger is chasing me, eat me, right? You get centered first. Then as the place that you're operating from, the decisions that you're making are no longer from the lowest part of you. You're operating with the best intentions of the larger community at hand. And that becomes the benefit. The more you can stay centered, the more and the better and the quicker decision-making you can have. Here's the other thing, is as you start to bring this into your practice each day, whether it's a morning routine or any of the techniques that you're doing, what it also does is it gives you a sense of more of just knowing what to do versus having to go and try to articulate it and all this information. It's like, I explained, it's like, not to touch an oven. It's not like you go to your mind and tell you not to touch an oven. There's a knowingness that it's hot, so you just know it. The same thing in leadership. The more you practice this, the more you practice you having clarity, there just happens to be this inner knowingness that says, okay, I know what to do now. And it comes from a different place than the mind in itself. So a technique that I would definitely bring into all of the listeners that are there is 3-2-1 relax. And the question—
Let's do it. Right. So I'm ready. Right. And I have to tell you that it's kind of interesting as we think of this as, all right, there's self-leadership, which we all need to do. Everybody needs to get in tune with the self-leadership. And then there's leadership. And what's interesting is what you're giving right now is a leader giving a way to be self-led, right? We're giving a self-leadership lesson by a leader, right? So one of the things that we do as leaders is we help become, and honestly, I think it's one of the strongest points that may have gotten missed, is one of the most powerful things we do as leaders is we create leaders. We create people who are self-led, And I love this technique because it's well, I haven't even done it yet, but I love it. I mean, I think I've done it, but
yeah, you did. I saw you.
Yeah. So, but it's simple, and it's shorter than counting to 10.
Yes. It is.
So the high D in me really likes that part. So let's do it, right? What is it?
So you literally just kind of, the first question, let's just do it and I'll tell you another thing about it. So you just kind of relax and you go 3-2-1 relax.
3-2-1.
And drop your shoulders. You can feel, the minute you do this and you do it, you can feel everything kind of just brings you back to that center moment. You go, now I can start making decisions.
Man, I freaking love that.
Yeah.
Can you do it like 5 times in a row? I mean, it's like that is a great, I mean, I'm a novice at meditation, but I'm learning, And it's just one of those where like, that might've been one of the best meditations I've ever done right there for 3
And you
seconds.
can do them. Yeah, you can do them literally for sometimes when events are really happening that you can't handle, you may do this for an hour straight, right?
Yeah.
Or if somebody cuts you off in traffic, 3, 2, 1, relax. And what it's going to take you to the root of what you're working on, which is not getting you absorbed in the mind.
Yeah.
And that's just a technique to kind of get you there. A question that I always ask myself with this particularly, I've been sharing this with folks now when things are really hard, Michael. And I think you'll like this question is I ask myself when things start getting tough, I go, well, what is actually wrong with this moment? What is wrong with this moment?
The now.
What is wrong with this moment? And the answer is always nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this moment. Then what'll happen is your mind will start going, well, what about in the future, right? Because then it tries to bring you into it.
Yeah, fear, right?
Yeah, you bring it back, and so everything's hitting, and you as a leader to stay centered, that's what we're talking about. You go, well, what is actually wrong with this moment? And you go, wow, the deep sense of you goes, well, nothing is. Yeah. And then you go 3, 2, 1, relax. Now you're operating from a place of clear leadership. You can cast better vision. You can be a better partner. You can be a better husband, a father, any of that. It's just you're bringing mindfulness attention to your everyday practices.
So I love that. And one of the, so there's a ton of things that I get from this is what's interesting is for me, like I go, what's wrong with this moment? And then it's like, what do I appreciate about this moment? Like every moment I'm kind of doing that. It's like, what's actually good about this moment? What do I appreciate? I help people build businesses on love, generosity, and appreciation. And we're talking, in my opinion right now, about appreciation, which is appreciate the moment.
Yeah.
We need to appreciate everything that's happening to us. And you're like, well, how can I appreciate this? This is bad or whatever. Well, you're still alive, right? Yeah. So there's a reason, right? And you need to, what do you appreciate about that? I remember losing my dream job. Like I thought I had it. I knew I had it. And then somebody basically manipulated so that I didn't get it. And so I was devastated. But you know what? It got me into real estate, which led me to another wonderful path of life, or else, I might be doing something else now. And it's one of those where it's like, I love this and here's what I want everybody to do below, right? I haven't had people comment in a while. I know some of you said lots of 30 mornings, lots of 30 a.m.s. I appreciate that. Here's the thing. What do you appreciate about the quarantine? What do you appreciate about the now? And I know we can get wrapped up. People are dying. People are sick. And trust me, before this is all over, somebody will know someone who died. Some of you will know someone who died. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that what do you appreciate? Say, I appreciate, and then blank about this quarantine. Or I appreciate about this quarantine, the blank. And I want you to fill out that sentence. And if you want an alternate to this, you can say, I love blank. And I'm telling you something right off the bat. Adam, you have sparked something inside me, brother. And I'm telling you is that here's the thing. I love that I was forced into doing the daily dose to help people. And I have reconnected with people like you. And people like Steve Harney, and people like Todd Duncan, and people like Hal Elrod, and we're all like the ultimate crisis response team, the most positive, energetic, and productive people. I had to think about who they were and line them up. Yeah. And it's just like, I love that has been a result of this, right? And I love you, dude. It's like, you need to connect more often.
I know.
Anyway, that's our show. I'm just kidding. We got to keep going. So how do you ensure your team knows what the goal and vision is or are for the next week, next day? Even to the point of the next hour. How are you leading them to that through that hour, through that day, through that week?
Yeah, I think you probably heard this before, but you got to over communicate. And I'll give you some tactical things to make sure you're doing it. First, you center yourself, like we talked about. Then what you do is you need to figure out, you have to over communicate with people. And here's the technique that I've been teaching to all of our leaders who are running, kind of 1099 agents, if you will, independent contractors. And First, you do a Zoom meeting, 8:45 to 9, somewhere around there, kind of checking in with them, setting the direction for the team. You make it about what they can do. You're not making it about things they can't, like pendings or listings. Some areas are shut down, so you're telling them what they can do. Then what you do is you take your phone, which everyone has, and you set a 3-hour timer on it. When 3 hours goes off, you literally stop what you're doing. You grab your phone or Slack or email, and you check base with every single one of your agents and your employees. Then the minute you check in with them, you hit 3 hours again, right on your phone. And then all of a sudden that should bring you to somewhere, it goes to 12, 12:30, and then 3:30 or so approximately, so you're checking with again. And you just repeat this cycle every single day until you're back in physical communication with people. Because people say, well, I communicate with my team all the time. And then I'll go, well, how often did you actually do it? And so people overestimate how much they're communicating, or they miss a couple people, or one person you communicate with a lot. So this is just a system and a model to force the communication so that you're showing up as a leader and guiding them through what the next steps are. Now, if you're leading yourself, then you need to do this. Like, this morning I ran 13 miles this morning, right? It's my long run day for the morning. And literally I'm going out there. I have so much going on. I just started a $50 million construction project that was getting shut down today because of the things going on here. So I have all this stuff going on. I'm like, I just need to I'm going to run 8 miles today. The whole time. Then I'm like, you know what? My mind's not going to decide this. I've committed. I've locked into doing this. So now I'm just going to run, make sure I hit my 6.5 so that I can turn around and come back. And I just locked in on that. So you have to use this for yourself too, so that in times of a lot of distraction, we have to learn to say no better. And the more you can say no better, the clearer things will be. One of the really neat things about all of this,
the more you can say no better. Clarify that for me.
Yeah. So
you're not saying say no more. You're saying no better.
Yeah, exactly.
Clarify that.
Yeah, well, people believe that they're good at making decisions, because when a decision comes by, if I said, hey, Michael, do you want to go buy some winter tires right now? You're like, I don't need any winter tires. And you're like, see, I'm really good at making decisions, right? And then people, what I find most business owners, they get to like this, if it's like a 0 to a 10 meaning like they're making the best decisions for their organization, people get to like this 2 or 3 or 4 mark where that's turning them a pretty decent profit, whatever that means for you. But what they have to understand is you have limited resources for what it is at turning that profit at 3 or 4 times. In order to get to a 5 or 6 or 7 to move down the line, that means you have to say no to something that you're currently doing to allow open space, to open up opportunities, to say yes to something with a higher return based on the input and the output that you're getting from that. So that's what I mean by that, is you have to learn to start saying no to some things and get better at the word no, so that you can then say yes to things that are providing a higher caliber, particularly right now. And I'll give you an example. Anybody that goes on vacation knows exactly what I'm talking about. They go, oh yeah, I get that. Because the day before vacation, you know what I think it is? It's like you get a badge to be an asshole. I'm not even kidding you. Like, you have this badge. You're like, you now have an excuse to tell people no. And so you stay focused. All you're doing is people are like, I get so much done before. Yeah, because you said no to everything. And you got very clear on what it was that mattered more than anything else. You should write this down. The things that matter, the people that matter the most matter more than anything else. Therefore, your decisions are easy.
So clarify that. So the things that the
people that matter the most matter more than anything else. Therefore, my decision is actually easy. So if your clients,
the application of that, right? So
let's make it your generosity.
Gary, Max, like the people, Mandy, Robert, Sean, right? The people that matter the most.
Yep.
So they're the ones that matter the most.
Yep.
So now, how do I implement that?
Yeah, so you people that matter most likely your family, your close friends. Okay, boom, they're checked. Are they okay? Yes.
They're fine. Right.
Then you go down to the next line and go, who are my 25 raving people that I'm pouring into? Am I saying yes to them, or am I saying yes to 100 other people that aren't going to give me the same return? So what you're doing is you're just narrowing down a focus for you that gives you the opportunity to put more energy and more time on task to what matters the most to actually move the needle. So the problem with most people is they actually haven't figured out what matters the most in any other categories of their life. Mm-hmm. Spiritual, consciousness, business, financial, relationships. So therefore, they ingest other people's answers because they're safe, instead of trying to create your own questions that may uproot some of the beliefs that other people have tried to instill in you. So get more into curiosity about the questions than ingesting somebody else's easy answers because it's safe.
Man, Adam, I have to tell you, I've done 85 episodes on Referrals Podcast and 3 daily doses. I don't think I've ever done this as much as I am during I'm literally like, oh my God, yes. This is exactly what people need to hear. This is what you've kind of identified as, honestly, like, how do super productive people think? And you are verbalizing it better than maybe anybody I've ever seen. I absolutely love this. And I have to put 2 and 2 together on one thing here is, yesterday we created a Facebook group. The day before, I did the 7 things that matter most. I literally narrowed it down to the things we have control over and what matters most in our life. And then luckily they all started with the letter M, which made it very easy for me to remember. But here's the thing, is today, what you're telling us is we need to communicate with our tribe, with our community every 3 hours. One of the questions yesterday was, when do I post in my Facebook group? Adam just answered that for you. You are going to post in your Facebook group. You are going to lead your tribe. You're going to post 9, 12, 3, and 6. You're going to set a meeting minder or a reminder on your phone every 3 hours, and you're going to communicate. Whether there's one person in your Facebook group or there's Twirl. What do you have now? Twirl has a couple of thousand. Nikki Klein has a group with 5,000. But you know what? Now we're going to do it at 9, noon, 3, and 6 and go from there. So you've given structure to this communication, which is exactly what we need. So how do you decide what activities? First of all, it's like mindset, what matters most. Now we've got this. How do you decide what activities to double down on and when to pivot on those activities? You have decisions to make that many people would only dream of. We're talking things that impact 400 people plus. So how do you know when to double down and when to, I call it a tweak, but a lot of people are calling it a pivot, right?
I love tweak. I might recycle that.
Thank you.
Don't steal it, recycle, right?
No, here's what you'll do. Michael Maher the other day said,
exactly.
A month from now, you'll go, I've always heard tweak. And then like 12 months from now, you'll be like, you know what? You got to tweak it.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how that kind of just sets in there. So everyone has something that they can lean into more than others.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody has something that you can lean into more than others. And so what I've been teaching people right now is, what's your thing that you lean into? Are you really, really good at, communicating with your sphere? Are you really, really good at, calling leads that have already entered into your boomtown or your platform that you have? Are you really, really good at, providing, a volunteer space or option that's virtual that you can do for things? Are you great at creating a community page for a real estate kind of development? Everyone has something that they can lean into. Now is the time for you to lean into what you do better than everybody else, because that's naturally where you want to spend your time and attention to. So just pick that one component that you're going to lean into and just make that your focus over the next couple of weeks.
I love that. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I said on Monday was mastery matters. It was the 7th of the 7 things that matter most is mastery, which is too many people are jack of all trades, master of none. Right. And what you just hit so hard on that is, and they're like, well, I haven't really mastered anything. Well, where do you have a head start? Where do you have a head start? Do you have a head start with your Facebook group? Do you have a head start with building a community page? Wherever you have a head start, I'm going to tell you something. This 30 to 60 days gives you the opportunity to master something. And I'm going to tell you, don't take a weakness of yours and try to master that. Take your strongest strength now and just go, I'm going to develop this to the nth level, right? I'm going to go.
Let me make a comment on market share for people, because people say, hey, now's the time to really go gain market share. Let me just provide a definition for this for your listeners. Is market share, when you're saying I want to gain market share and I want to survive and thrive on the other side of this, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to gain a bunch of market share today. What it does is that anytime there's a disruption in the world or economics, which is happening right now, it gives everyone pause to say, who should I follow? Right? That's really what people are doing. They're going around saying, where should I go? Who should I follow? Who should I listen to? And so what your job is to, as a leader is to be that thought leader. So you're going out there and creating your pages. You're going out and communicating with your sphere, your 25 people. You're making sure you have the right 25 people in there. Maybe you add some more people that make a bigger difference in there, and you're communicating with them. Because now is the time to gain eyeballs or audience or attention on you, so that the minute somebody goes, I want to buy or sell or list a home, they're going to think of you now instead of the person that they used to use. So gaining market share doesn't mean, because people go, I don't know if I'm gaining market share. You don't necessarily today. It's designed so that you get more attention on your organization, your brand, so that the minute you're able to operate to the full capacity that we can, people are thinking about you. And there's never an easier time to get attention than during disruption. And that's why people come ahead afterwards, is because they went from 100 people in their thing to, having 100,000 people following them. And now they've moved. The same thing on just if you own a business, right? From the meaningful employee side, you're looking for meaningful employees or meaningful agents to attract to your business. Be that leader so that the people are going to, and they wake up and they go, I want to go to Michael. I want to go to Michael. I want to listen to what Michael is doing. I want to go to Michael. Hey, let me share what Michael is. Let me share it. Then all of a sudden people come to you, and then the minute they go, you know what? I really think I should probably just find out what this Michael guy is doing. That's how you gain market share in these waves.
I love that. And another part of this too is just don't quit, right? Keep going. I ran a marathon, and it is a marathon. I think that's what we all need to look at is right now, this is mile 20 out of the 26.2 miles. Like, the weight's on your back, everything. But the thing is don't quit. And I laugh sometimes about the Marine Corps Marathon. I think I might have set a record, because I have to be the only person in history who got passed by 30,000 people in a race, because I started at the very front, even though I shouldn't have. That's another story. And I started fast. Why did I start fast? Because all the other people in that first bin were like Nigerian, Ethiopian, and championship marathon runners who were going for time. And I was just going to but so I ran out, and I'm like, it's like, this is awesome, and then like mile 2, I hated it, right? It's like, but it's one of those where, all those people passed me who started slower, right? But what they were doing is they stayed on pace, right? And we have a chance right now. Listen, just stay on pace. And that's why I did what I did. Some people are doing conventions right now, which I think, listen, if that's the way you can help, you can help. They're literally doing like 12 of these a day for 3 days. And it's just like, people are already overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's give them one. And I call it, make the centerpiece of your day the masterpiece of your day. Yeah. Right. So this is the centerpiece of your day. You can take anything you learn from here for the next 30 to 45 minutes, implement it. And you know what? That's a pretty good day, because you made a step forward. Don't quit. In the marathon, keep making a step forward. Keep making a step forward. Keep taking those steps, and you will win, right? Or at the very least, you will survive to be ready for that final sprint. Because trust me, when the all clear comes, it is going to be a sprint. You will be working. Tell your family now, I love you. I'm spending all my freaking time with you. And I want you to know, I'm going to be making up for this later. I'm going to have some 15-hour days, and we're going to make hay when the hay is being made. So,
well, your analogy is really well for the phasing of how, disruptions like these occur. The first phase, a lot of high achievers and leaders, which is most likely the people that are listening to this, they get this kind of self-feeling of like, this is a novelty. It's like a snow day. They feel good. They have a lot of leadership. They're amped up. They're running around. They're like, see, I'm doing this. I told you what kind of leader I am, right? Then about a week and a half into it, people start going, this is real. This is starting to feel, I feel this. And then all of a sudden the weight of everything that they've been doing, their energy just kind of goes away instantly. And so they jumped up, they ran around, they started like, I'm amazing. And then all of a sudden they go, oh man, this isn't ending in like a week. It's actually really going to affect me. Like I should probably really, oh my God, the world is crowded. And you can hear it. People's mind, their voices start going, their mind starts taking over. They're like, oh my, I'm freaking out. Like, what do I do? Like they're hitting a panic. And so then they're even questioning their own leadership. They're like, oh my God, I'm not even a really good leader. I thought I was. And their mind's going nuts. And they're just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, that's when they look to everybody. That's when your job is to say, hey, you know what? Let me just explain what happened. You went out there, you got amped up, you're doing the right thing. Now let's bring it back. Okay, here's the reality. Let's not bring your drama into it. You're not a bad leader. There's nothing wrong there. Here's what you need to focus. That's the things that we talked about earlier. Then you start implementing. Then it'll be the phase of I'm surviving, I'm doing my daily activities, I'm focused on this, I'm scraping together things I need to. And then you're setting yourself up, as we just talked about, for the market share. So the minute, just like you said, it turns back on, you're then already ahead, so that when everybody else is trying to survive, you're thriving. And that's what that means. And if you're wondering why people panic in the first place, it's because they weren't high achievers. They went directly to phase, like that next phase. Instead of trying to lead anything, they go, I can't lead anything anyway, so I'm going right to panic mode, right?
I just give up. I just give up. Yeah. I love that. So what happens when your daily routine and usual supports and support system have been uprooted? Like what do we do, right?
Yeah, there's nothing more important than keeping yourself focused in your morning routine than ever at any time, especially when you're working from home. It's so easy. We started the conversations. It's so easy to first, you know what, like, this is all weird. I'm going to go out to dinner, and then I'm going to all of a sudden eat a little bit more, and then I'm going to eat a little more, and then all of a sudden you're not exercising because you're waiting. It's like your mind's telling you that you don't have to do any of this, right? Like, and remember, your mind is a tool. It is not running your life. It's like your car. Your car just doesn't drive around without you in it, right? But most people are operating that way, with their cars just going down the interstate and you're just in the back seat. So you have to start taking control of this. So the first thing that I want you to do is, when your opportunity or alarm clock goes off in the morning, I don't want that mind to come in there and say, Michael, you can sleep for a little while longer. You don't have to get up. You set the day before with clear intentions, and I'm getting up at 5, 6, 7, and you set your routine. Do not, the minute you gain consciousness in that term, the minute you gain it, I want you to be in control, not your mind, because your mind will instantly tell you that you can sleep in. You don't have to go to work anyways. You don't have to dress up. You can skip the shower. All these things are going to enter into it. So right then you make the decision. It goes, I'm in control, not you. And so that in itself gets you up. You get out of bed, you start your routine, you stay focused on that. Those couple hours that you're spending, or an hour that you're spending, will pay massive dividends into the future of what you're doing. And that becomes the gift of staying in your routine.
I tell you, I mean, it's so funny, as we just literally had this meeting yesterday because a few people asked us about, hey, can we do another 30 mornings class? And this has been, like I said, it's been such a huge, wonderful class. We've changed lives in 30 mornings.
Yes, you do.
It's interesting that we've come full circle to, I mean, here's the thing. I don't even know how many people commented. I know we had a lot, but we're going to do a 30 mornings class, and we're going to do an East Coast, and we're going to do a West Coast. I don't know what that looks like, so don't ask me yet, but we have the class, we have the book is worth millions.
Yeah.
Because it's literally the 30 days laid out in 3 10-day phase. It's just a very good way to take something on. And we break it down, Adam, where it's 7:30 to start. The next week you get up at 7:15, and then the next week you get up at 7. And too many people are like, 5 a.m. club. All right, I get up at 9 now, but I'm going to do the 5 a.m. club. So they do the 5 a.m. club for about 2 days, and then they blow up, right? They literally they go into a physical and mental breakdown. So I'm going to do this is if you're interested in 30 mornings, just let us know. Just put 30 a.m.s or 30 mornings in the comments below. We'll figure. We won't do it for the, $200 or $300 that it was before. We'll do it like a super, super reduced price, but it's not going to be free. You know why it's not free? It's because if it's free, you won't freaking show up.
Exactly right.
There will be a little pain point with it, but it's going to be gentle. And then I want questions below. Who has a question below for somebody that is a leader of leaders and literally trains leaders and is, like I said, one of the best leaders I know. So question below. I know a lot of you are putting 30 mornings in there. I appreciate that. But let's get one more question for Adam, and then I want to be respectful to his time, and we'll get out of here. So Sherry, I'm going to have you direct that. You know what? While we're waiting, what happens when the activities that we were using to grow our business are not possible right now? Everybody right now is quoting expense reduction. I was with Sprint Communications during a time where they were going through everything is expense reduction. Well, they expense reduced almost right out of business, right? It comes to a decrease in gains, right? Yeah. Diminishing gains. So what do we do on the revenue side? Or do we just like hold serve and realize that it's going to be what it is?
Well, I think anything that's not nailed to the floor, you throw out.
Yeah.
So what I mean, and then you're doing that so you protect your people. If you have employees, the first thing you want to do is throw anything out that's just not relevant to operating your business right now. You pause things for 60 to 90 days that just aren't necessary. Because what you want to do I believe that we're 51% culture, 49% profit, right? And so that means that I'm going to take care of our people the most that we can. So I'm going to throw out anything else that doesn't make sense so I can keep people without having to, furlough or lay anybody off during this time. So cut all your expenses, personal and business-wise. And that should be an ongoing event for people. This shouldn't be like if this is a wake-up call for you because you're spending too much, don't, after 90 days or 120 days, don't go, man, Michael, that was crazy, and then add everything back in, right?
That's right.
Make this a game. We're literally write it out in every day, every month for the next 10 months to the end of the year. I want every single person in there to cut at least one expense. I don't care if it's $30 or $3,000. You'd be amazed at what you miss every time. When I have people do this, they go, I've already cut everything. I go back and do it. Go back and find something else. Go back. Like, I found it. I renegotiated my phone. I got $100 off per month. Perfect. What it's doing, it's not even the dollar amount that's relevant. That helps in profitability, but it's your thinking around money is a tool. Yeah. Money is not anything other than that. If you think it's something other than a tool, you're using it as an emotional aspect to make yourself feel better of what it is. Exactly.
Right.
And answer the other question is, look, be the water. I love Bruce Lee's quote right now.
Yeah.
When things are resisting you in all different ways, find the path of least resistance. Just be the water. I mean, it's as simple as it can be. And so that I'm always thinking, well, if I'm the water, then I'm going to find a way through any of this. Just be the water.
Right. And so I had the lean and mean speech, right? So we're not letting anybody go. Everybody that's on, we're going to figure out a way, right? And so I said, it's lean and mean. And they're like, oh, lean and mean. No. Here's the deal is you find a way to be lean in your role, or I'm going to have to be mean when I let you go. Mm-hmm. So it's like lean and mean. You need in your role, how do we become leaner? And how do we become better? How do we cut? What expense do we have that we need to cut, right? And it's like, as long as you're being lean and you're making it more lean, then I don't have to be mean, but don't make me be mean. And I have to tell you, I've got one person who we need to have the lean and mean speech again, right?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I mean, and you know what?
Our decision is being a leader. You have to make, it's around, people are the problem and people are also your biggest advocates, but business equals people. It's literally what it is.
Yeah. I love it. Do we have a question, Sherry? Lots of 30 mornings, lots of 30 a.m.s. All right. So last but not least, final words of wisdom, Adam, and you brought up a great point, right? Is this is the time where you really find who you are in relationship with, and you also find out maybe those that you can't count on anymore, right? So there are people that I asked to be on the Daily Dose, right, that are not any more busy than you or Steve Harney or Todd Duncan or Hal Elrod or Nick Santanastasso, right? Yeah. So, or Bob Berg, who's on next Friday. So and you know what? They're not there. They're not here. They're not on the lineup. And, for whatever reasons it is, but the bottom line is I really, really appreciate your time and your leadership today. So final words of wisdom and I will tell you, we are a tribe of leaders. Everybody on here is at the very least, they're leading a Facebook group. They're leading their database. And that's what I teach, is how to be a database leader, how to be a leader of a, tribe and identify the top of your tribe. Right. Yeah. So
you have an amazing lineup. So I'm just honored to be able to help serve or share some wisdom to people there and to you as well too. The thing that I would explain, or maybe the last words of wisdom here is no matter how you acted or how you're acting right now, whenever something happens, we don't necessarily raise up. We kind of go back to the highest level of training that we have. And so the one thing that I would say is what went wrong and what happened and what triggered you, that you can now go put an action plan in place so that the minute something like this again happens, probably not this scale, but happens, you're ready for. That you've prepared for. Is that an expense thing? Is that I need to probably be more meditation so I don't stay more centered? Should I be more personally watching my expense? Should I make sure I'm holding my money a little more accountable? Should I make sure I'm paying attention to this more? There's always something that we can have a return on failure for that we probably missed. And it was probably a blind spot. So highlight what that is. Maybe it's when you get through this, and then start putting an action plan together so that when an event that disrupts your business, it's going to happen if you haven't, right? If you haven't noticed, that as soon as it does, you're ready for it.
Man, wow. This has been like packed with wisdom. And then to come in with that at the last second is, you know what? Okay. You weren't proactive now, right? You weren't ready for this. Guess what? You're in a really large crowd of people who are not ready for this, including the president of the United States.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? And the politicians and America was not ready for this. China was not ready for this. And they have 100-year business plan that literally China writes out, where do I want to be in 100 years? And they were not ready for this. So don't beat yourself up. Nobody was ready for it. But how can we be ready for a catastrophe down the road? That is money, right? I mean, that's like one of the things is we need to save better. I mean, you know who looks great right now is Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's like, man, I guess maybe that guy had something to share. So Adam, I just want to say thank you so much. Below, as a final comment for everybody that's doing the Daily Dose, and I appreciate all of you, I want you to put your biggest aha that you learned from this session in the comments below. I am going to personally come back and look through the group in a couple of hours, and I will comment on those and hopefully help you out if you guys have any questions or that kind of thing. So this has been a phenomenal Daily Dose, episode number 3. You know, that how to make tough decisions as a leader by a leader. And I'll tell you, Adam, Hergy, it's great to connect back with you. And by golly, if nothing else out of this, I'm going to figure out some regular communication for the rest of us. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Daily Dose, episode 3 with Adam Hergenrother. And I'll tell you, it's one of those where you have a tremendous opportunity to be the leader. People are now asking, who should I follow? Who should I follow in my community? You can be that leader. I truly believe some of you have started Facebook groups that are national or global in nature. I would really recommend to you that you create a local Facebook group. Become the leader in Marietta, Georgia, or the leader in Greenville, South Carolina, like Sharon Hires, or whatever it may be. And then invite those businesses, invite the Chamber of Commerce, become the leader of your local community, at least in the scale of Facebook groups. And then you're going to be amazed at how you come out on the back end. I'll tell you, we put this sequence together for a reason. We have these 40 plus daily doses in the order they're in for a reason. So guess what? Make it happen every day. No matter what, you're going to be on the Daily Dose at 1 o'clock. Make the centerpiece of your day the masterpiece of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the Daily Dose and Referrals podcast.